Well, congratulations, firstly, on the new job.
Thank you very much.
There's some, I guess, irony or anticipation or trepidation about taking the job so close to an election.
Oh, look, anyone, any human, I think, taking on a job like this 7 weeks out from an election, would have some anxiety about it. And certainly it's a big role, but I'm ready for it. I've been in politics for 9 years now in opposition. No one goes into politics to stay in opposition. It's not the constructive place to be in the political environment. I want to be in a place where I can make a difference and Labor can make a difference.
You'd always said you didn't want the leadership, though.
Yeah.
It's been forced upon you. You're a reluctant leader. Is that how you see it?
It's unexpected. And look, every time I've been asked that question, I've answered it very genuinely. And I think people will have understood my position. But these are pretty exceptional circumstances. I've had some personal views on the role of leader. It is the worst job in politics, but it's also an incredible privilege to have a role like that. But these, as I say, are exceptional circumstances, and the team, asked me to step up, and I was very willing to do that.
It doesn't give you much time in the run-up to the election, does it?
No, it's going to make it a very exciting campaign. 7 weeks is not a long time, so that's why I'll be absolutely focused, and the team will be focused on talking about Labor's ideas, what we're offering New Zealanders this election, rather than getting dragged into conversations about things on the sideline.
Now, you take over with Labor at about 24% in the polls, but you've been part of that leadership team. You are the 24%.
Not just the leadership team. I accept that I've been a member of the Labor caucus for the last 9 years, and I take full responsibility for whatever role I've played in those past 9 years for where we've been. But now I am in a different position. Now I have the chance to place my stamp on the leadership, but alongside my team really promote the ideas that I think people want to hear from us. I think one of the issues that we have faced in opposition is that from opposition, of course, it's our role to highlight the things that are going wrong. But we are inherently, I think, a positive country. We're pretty optimistic. So our challenge will be talking about how we can make New Zealand even better than it is, framing our ideas and our vision in a positive way so people hear about our plans rather than necessarily our concerns about the current state.
So why is Labor at 24%? It wasn't just about Andrew Little.
Oh, no, I certainly wouldn't place the blame on Andrew. In fact,
So how does changing Andrew Little help Labor?
No, well, just to finish, I wouldn't place the blame on Andrew because I worked alongside him. I saw how much he put into the leadership. And look, what speaks to his character is the fact that yesterday his decision was solely around what's in the best interest of the party. He nominated me. I have a huge amount of admiration for him. We know leadership plays a role, but it isn't the only thing. When I'm on the doorstep, as I have been over most weekends in the past few months, actually since the by-election, when I talk people through the ideas that we have, they really resonate, but they haven't heard them. So that will be our challenge.
Okay, so how do you succeed where Phil Goff, David Shearer, David Cunliffe, Andrew Little all failed?
Time will tell, but I will bring my own stamp. I'm relentlessly positive, optimistic. I believe that New Zealand can be even better than it is. I will add new ideas to place some emphasis on where I think we can be.
Well, let's talk broadly about that. I'm not expecting great detail, but to what extent?
24 hours in, I'm sure you wouldn't.
Well, expectations are high.
Indeed, I accept that too.
To what extent is Labor's policy platform going to change before the September 23 election?
Yeah. As I've said, a lot of the ideas we have really resonate. We've been focused on housing in particular, health, education. And that's because not only they sit at the core of Labor's values, but because New Zealanders have told us these are the areas that they're worried about. I want to bring in some extra emphasis to some of those areas, so that will be a bit of a focus for me.
You talked about free education in your acceptance speech.
I did.
Are we going to see Labor ramp that plan up and possibly bring it forward and offer immediate free education?
I will be talking about education more in the future. I'm not going to do it immediately now.
Do you believe in free education?
I do. I do believe in free education. Labor believes in free education. From the time of Peter Fraser, when we embedded that notion into the political system in New Zealand, we've always believed in it. And that speaks to, I think, Labor values. Sometimes, though, we have to point out that we've got these aspirations. It's about showing people how we're going to implement them over time. And sometimes they won't be immediate, but people need to know where your goal is.
But you're leaving open the option of ramping that policy up. Would that be a fair interpretation?
I'm not closing it off right now, Guy, but as I say, it's been 24 hours. I'm sure that you'll be willing to give me a bit of time.
All right. Free health?
Health. Our focus in health has predominantly been around those areas where we've seen real underinvestment. Particular focus and passion of mine has been mental health. In fact, I used my role as deputy leader to step into that space to talk about a vision around access to healthcare for young people in secondary schools to try and improve our youth mental health stats. So I do have a focus in that area, but I don't want to speak to specifics.
Fair enough,
soon.
But there's been quite a lot of commentary that Labor needs to be bold now. Yeah. That Labor needs to really grab this opportunity and really differentiate itself from national.
And some of the areas I'd like to spend a bit of time in is talking about inequalities more broadly. That's something that I know New Zealanders are concerned about. I think it's one of the things that we've held a lot of pride in ourselves as a nation for the fact that, regardless of where you're born, you have those equal opportunities. But actually, over time, I think they have been eroded, either through health and education. I think that there are some systemic changes that we need to make.
That we haven't heard so far from Labor?
Some of them will be new. But like I say, I need a bit of time, Guy, to talk with my team as well, because I'm not going to sit in this chair and make loose captain calls without bringing my team with me.
Fair enough.
But inequality will be a focus for me.
Well, let's go more broadly then to your philosophy on some of these things.
Sure.
In the time that we do have. Do you believe in market economics?
Yeah, I do. What I'm going to put emphasis on here is that Labor has to make sure that people understand that we have economic credibility. That's been something that has been challenged in the 9 years that we've been in government that I absolutely refute. We were in government, we ran constant budget surpluses. We had continuous solid economic growth that rivaled since World War II.
That's all there for the public record. And I'm sorry to interrupt, but it is an interesting question that I want to put to you. Do you believe in market economics?
Yeah, but I challenge our current parameters in New Zealand, because our economy as it stands is not delivering for all New Zealanders. And I think people would probably agree with that.
Yeah, but and I'm asking this question, pursuing this question line, because I think they will want to know too whether you're just offering a little bit of tinkering to try and take the rough edges off this market capitalism, or whether you are promising something quite different. Can you give an answer to that?
I think probably some of the answers that I've already given around my views around inequality, whether or not our economic system is currently delivering for New Zealanders, give a bit of a sense of my current view of the way that the position that we're currently in. But again, I want to spend a bit of time looking across not just around things like taxation, but actually going more broadly into health, housing and education, because our inequalities manifest in every element.
Can I ask the question from the other end? You were once, was it the president of the International Union of Socialist Youth? Do you still describe yourself, as Bernie Sanders famously did, as a socialist?
I'm a democratic socialist, but I don't think
What does that mean?
Yeah, I don't think that's a meaningful term in New Zealand.
Well, why did you use it then?
Yeah, because you've asked the question. So I think
you describe yourself as a democratic socialist.
What is that? Under that banner, people
is that what you say when you don't want to call yourself a socialist?
No, what I use in New Zealand, to describe myself as a pragmatic idealist, because I think it's much more meaningful in New Zealand than a democratic socialist.
Just very quickly, a couple of quick questions just to finish. Andrew Little said just before he departed that at 24% in the polls you don't get to choose to lead a government. At what point do you get to make that choice? What is a credible point for Labor?
Andrew was right that we need to lift our game. Everyone accepts that. That's not in question. I haven't put a number on it. I don't think
Does it have a 3 in front of it?
It definitely needs to go north, Guy, but I don't think it's helpful to put a number on it. We need to lift our game. That's accepted. We need to be in a position to negotiate. We need to, therefore, of course, be polling higher. But I have one goal. That's to put us into government. We cannot be constructive. We cannot achieve our aspirations from opposition. That is my goal.
Final question. Why would a family with a big mortgage worried about job security vote for a party led by you rather than Bill English, who has perhaps 2 decades of ministerial experience, including many as finance minister? Why would they trust you to lead the country?
Because all of the things that we're talking about them and their kids' futures. I mean, that was me. That's them. That's what I came from in Morrinsville. I understand the kinds of issues that they want to hear us talking about. They want to hear whether or not their kids will ever own a home, and that's part of our agenda. They want to hear how we're going to reduce the squeeze on them. It's likely that their incomes won't have moved much, but it's certainly likely that they're, for instance, experiencing increase in the cost of living. We've been talking about ways that we can use, for instance, instead of a $400 million tax cut to the top 10%, how we can instead channel that down to people in the middle who are feeling the squeeze. And we've got tools, easy ways we can do that, much more targeted. Those are exactly the things we've been talking about this election. But they also want their kids to have a great education. And our education policy is the best policy I've seen from Labor in that space in a decade. So for that family, that's exactly who we're speaking to this election.